Peace, family. This your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Here today, doing a little live stream, impromptu, last moment. I'm off today, and I usually do these live streams after I have a conversation with, some of my friends, family, woman, you know, just conversations talking about the things that I'm usually interested in, which is usually involving the collective problems of our people and how we can solve these problems, and how to solve them is not really that difficult. It's just that the difficult part is getting people to see that it's not that difficult. So the title of this live stream is called "You Can't Stay on Code," in quotes, minus nationhood. Now I always hear this term "stay on code," like the woke people usually use it. Stay on code, you got to stay on code. I posted a link in the description to a site called Melanated Code Life. And I don't want to read all of this. You can go and check out the code itself. Um, it kind of, I don't want to seem like an asshole. I mean, I guess it's too late for that. But I just find it funny that we want our people to exhibit a certain type of behavior, but we don't want to control the context in which that behavior can be reinforced. um I was listening to I was actually on Twitter, and I saw a video, and I saw a quote by Peter Joseph of the Zeitgeist movement. And I like the quote because it definitely is something that fits into what um my beliefs are. And let me just read the quote. The quote says, "You can't have any behavior in a system that isn't reinforced by the system. If it isn't structurally reinforced, it doesn't matter what your moral code is. People are always going to deviate toward what actually works." I had to take that quote and put it on my Facebook page, and I might actually add it to my favorite quotes on my Facebook page. I haven't done that yet. But that quote right there is Mr. Holipsism in a nutshell in terms of how I feel about nationhood. And this is why I sympathize with my brothers um, in the BAIO who I speak to on a regular basis, who have this frustration because they feel like they're alone in their thoughts and alone in the things that they feel and think, because there's no one that can relate to what they're actually talking about. Because even the so-called intelligent people um, are lazy intellectually. And let me explain what I mean by that. Whenever you hear Negroes talking about black people, and black people do this, black on black crime, black people is got out of wedlock this, and single mothers, da 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 da, and they attack the people in the behavior. They're attacking behavior. And rather than personalizing this, let's look at it, structurally. What they're doing is they're attacking behavior. The problem is behavior doesn't exist in a vacuum. You have to know what the context is, the why people do what they do. If you're not trying to find out the why, then basically what you are is like you're engaging in what I call right wing Fox talking points, right wing thinking. You're not looking for a why, you're looking for someone to blame. Like you'll see this in the people who they call themselves race realists, these racist white dudes. It's so funny. People hate black people, but when you call them racist, that's like, oh my God, like it's some third rail. Why don't you own that shit? Well, you know what? Let me not get into that. I'm like going off the course. Let me get back to the point that I was making. You hear that in right-wing circles. It's like they're not trying to understand the problem. They're trying to assign blame to the problem, or they're trying to like take for example, black people score lower on IQ tests than Asians and white people. So therefore, black people are intellectually inferior in terms of intelligence. That is the dumbest. That is the dumbest causality I've ever heard. That makes absolutely no fucking sense. If black people are scoring less than white people and Asians, then the question you should be asking yourself is why are they scoring less? And if your default, without you factoring in any of their socioeconomic and political context into the equation, is, oh, well, it must be genetics, then you are intellectually lazy and you full of shit. And I'm talking about black folks, and black folks copy and parrot white supremacy talking points when it comes to their own people. So they'll say, well, black people, the abortion rates, the single motherhood, black men in college, they'll spout off all of these statistics. And my question is, listen, statistics is fine. If you want to say that black folks do this more than anyone, or black folks is in this condition, fine. Those are the stats. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is, why are you ignoring context? What is the point you're trying to make by presenting the information? And then when you do that, you'll see that a lot of people, in the way that they approach these problems, are disingenuous. That they have an agenda, and their agenda is either black folks ain't shit, and then every point that they make is going to be a validation of that point. But your pretext is wrong. Your presupposition is wrong. If your presupposition is, well, black folks ain't shit, that is so lazy intellectually that you shouldn't even be taken seriously. Nobody should be listening to you. So the whole thing is, and like I said, I realize totally that if you start talking about context and stuff like that, you're going to go way over the average person's head. But listen, man, I can't help I can't help being who I am, and I can't make myself not be or think the way that I think. You know what I'm saying? I can't dumb myself down enough to appeal to the masses. And I see a lot of people doing that. A lot of people appeal to the masses instead of trying to uplift the masses. I would much rather try to uplift the masses' consciousness than to try to pander to the masses because I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. I really don't know how to do it. Me and my cousin have had this conversation many times. Like I call my cousin the master of light banter. I've never seen somebody who can engage and talk with people about absolutely nothing and do it, engage with them. I usually stay quiet. Like if you're not talking about something that I find interesting or important, I'll just keep quiet. I'm not a trivial talker. I don't engage in trivial talk. I just don't. I'm not putting a value judgment on it. I'm just saying I don't do it. So let me give you an example of what I mean by context. No, actually, an example of that quote. When you complain about the poor choices black folks make while simultaneously dismissing the power and the influence of the context in which those decisions are being made. So, if black women are parenting single parent households, a myopic and one dimensional thinker would say, oh, well, that must mean black women is inferior to every other type of woman and they don't have their shit together. A person with nuance and intelligence would go, well, why is it that black women are parenting single parent households? Why are there so many single moms in the black community? That's what an intelligent and nuanced person does. But when you're looking to blame somebody, when you're looking to big yourself up so you can put somebody else down and make you look like you're pious and righteous and more and have more value than everybody else, because those are the people that usually engage in this type of thinking. They need to put somebody else down to make themselves feel good. White supremacists and race realists do it all the time. They do it all the time. You got to put down black people, got to put down other races because, and the white race has invented everything. The white race has contributed the most to humanity. Everybody else is just a peon in their eyes. And you have black people parroting that same type of thought process when it comes to looking at the problems that we have as a people. Now, what is context? Because context is the core principle behind nationhood to me. That's the reason why I arrived at the land infrastructure nationhood ideology in the first place. Context equals the why behind the actions that people take. That's what context is. Context is the why behind the actions that people take. So, if we're going to concentrate on, let's just pick single motherhood, what is the context in which this single motherhood is taking place? Why is this going on in our so called community more than in other communities? Or is that even a fact? But let's just say hypothetically that it is. Why? And that's when you get dead silence. That's when you get, "Oh, I don't know, da 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 da." But they so quick to point out the bad behavior. And the reason why they're pointing out the bad behavior, and I'm talking about whites and blacks, white folks and black folks, because it's the same similar thinking process, is to point out how we ain't shit. So there's no nuance. There's no trying to understand why. No, 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 we ain't shit. Black folks just come out of their womb fucked up. This, uh, these are the type of intellectuals that people want to listen to. That is so intellectually lazy. So you have no desire, no curiosity, because people that are intelligent or people that are intellectual, for lack of a better word, because I don't like that word intellectual, but let's just use it. Um, they have a curiosity about things. If they see a certain set of data, they want to know, that's interesting. Why is that? They don't tend to be judgmental in the sense that, oh, this is what the data is, so I guess blah 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 blah, without just totally ignoring the context in which the data is presented and just concentrated on the data itself. If black people are disproportionately committing crimes, why? And I know the reason why you avoid the why, because if you avoid the why, then you realize that context plays a great part in why people do what they do. Example, if you have somebody that was raised by two parents, those parents were upper the middle class, that person probably was educated in a private school system, and that person went on. No, well, another thing is they probably during their school life had extracurricular activities that they could engage in. So they wasn't just hanging out. They had, let's say they had a musical interest. They went to school, after school programs dealing with music, after school programs dealing with athleticism, book reading clubs, blah blah blah, chess clubs, all this other stuff, extracurricular activity outside of school. So they had that, and then they went on to excellent university. Those parents that they have as their parents owned a house and probably had, let's say, other property that they had, maybe rental property. Now take that person and that we'll start off at ground zero with that as the family. Then let's move to another family where you have one parent. The one parent has to work two jobs just so they can maintain food, clothing, and shelter. The child is in a school that's not properly funded, so they don't have access to the same education as the other family. And their extracurricular activities is whatever's going on in the streets. Forget about university or going to a, a great school or a great university. They can barely graduate high school, and if they do, they probably graduated high school just by simply being there. or they dropped out. Now put those two families, we're going to start at ground zero. And if you believe in the concept of intergenerational, which family has the highest success ratio of having a fully functional, successful, producing fully functional, successful children? And which one has the intergenerational ability to produce children that's going to struggle perpetually for the rest of their lives? Which of those two families, out of those two families, which is the one that's going to be the most successful? See, that's context. That's context. So you can't judge the kid that came from the situation where he had fucking nothing the same as the kid who had fucking everything. But for some reason, some of our top intellectuals, and I'm talking about black people, default to this stupid, lazy, unintellectual type of thought. There's this idiot, and I can call, I hate doing this. I hate mentioning people, but I got to mention it because there's this right wing black conservative dude on, I think he's been on Dinah's show. Now he might not have been on Dinah's show, but I think he was on a panel with Dinah. His name is ABL. Do y'all know that dude? Aaron something, whatever, a fucking jackass. This is the perfect example of that type of stupid. Yeah, thank you, Complex. The perfect example of that type of stupid ass thinking. Everything out of his goddamn mouth is a statistic about how fucked up black people is, totally void of any fucking context. And then when you press them on, well, why is that? Well, it didn't happen to me. So you take something that happened to you anecdotally, your family situation, and stretch that across the spectrum as if that represents all black people. And these are the type of people that they call intellectual thinkers. You know what I'm saying? These are the people that people look up to and admire and eat the crumbs falling from their table of knowledge. I mean, it's crazy. But this is the thing this is the reason why and most of the, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm totally ignoring the chat room. There's too many people in there now. Peace to everybody in the chat room. I ain't gonna mention y'all by name because I'll be going on forever. I apologize for that. I'm just now looking at it. Yeah, I ain't even worried about that. Yeah, I know y'all got that locked down. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I gotta give my brother here admin access because he don't play. You now have the gauntlet, brother. You know who you are. Peace, I am Lucy. That's another moderator of mine. Complex is a moderator, so I'm straight. Kofi's a moderator. Yeah, I'm straight. I'm not even going to address the bullshit. But this is the reason why, and I know that a lot of people in this chat room that's listening can relate to this. It's very hard to have these nationhood discussions, even with people in the cultural conscious community, for lack of a better word. It's hard to have a conversation on nationhood because the moment you start talking about us having something of our own, you get a lot of pushback. A lot of pushback. And that's because people don't understand these basic concepts. They don't understand them. If you don't know what context is, then how are you going to control um, the behavior of the people that you claim you hate? You hate this behavior, but you want to control the behavior and you want to attack them because they don't exhibit the behavior, but you don't want to control the context. And that's the reason why I titled this thing, You Can't Stay on Code Minus Nationhood. Everybody wants to avoid nationhood. I mean, let me go to this melanated code life. I put the link in the chat room. Y'all can go there with me. And if you click on the code, I'm wondering if I'm not going to read all this. I can't read all this. It's too much to read. But they got like a whole list of codes here. Black first, the usual. I'm just gonna and I'm not putting down the site. Trust me, I'm not. I mean, I understand the concept of a code and the need for one. I understand that, but I'm not gonna put down the site. Not gonna put down the site. But I will say this. Why is it that you want to stay black? Like you want to stay primarily black and have black people buy black and all of this stuff inside the context of the American system? Do you not realize that everything in this American system reinforces itself? It doesn't reinforce your ideology. It reinforces an ideology that's the complete diametrically opposed to your ideology. So if you live in this system, perfect example. In this system, screwing people over, cutting people's throats gets you to the top. And that's reinforced through this system. So if you come into this system with some, oh, well, I want to be fair to everybody and I want to treat everybody this, you're going to get run the fuck over because your moral code doesn't mean shit within the context of the American system. I mean, let's look at it on a mundane level. Let's look at professional wrestling. Let's look at it. I'm going to take it to the most basic, mundane level. You can have somebody who's a part of a tag team and he's been a mid-carder and he's just there. He's not top billing. Great wrestler, but as part of a tag team. Do you know what they usually do if it's a person that's really good and they got their eye on him? The first thing they do is they make him attack his tag team partner. So he turns his back and betrays the person that he was a tag team partner with. And then guess what happens after he does that? Then he becomes a main eventer. Then his tag team partner, who he used to be with, is squandering over in mid card to lower mid card status. But because he betrayed his partner, now he's been given the keys to the kingdom. And that's just on a mundane level. It shows you these things over and over again in every aspect of society that it's going to reinforce the person who does wrong. It doesn't reinforce the person who does right. I'll use Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick should have kept his mouth shut, not said nothing, and he would still have a football career, making money, and no problems. The moment he opened up his mouth about what was actually going on in society, the reinforcement in that system? Did it reinforce him doing that? Or did it let him know, nigga, you better not ever do that again? And not only do you not do that, anybody coming up behind you is going to see how you were treated, and then they're not going to do it anymore. Do you see what I mean by a reinforcement? This system reinforces negativity. It reinforces you being out for yourself. It doesn't reinforce collective. It doesn't reinforce buy black. It doesn't reinforce that. Now, can you buy black? Yeah. But just know that you are going against the grain. You are going against the fucking tidal wave of America by buying black. Now, let's take it to this level. Suppose you had your own nation where you controlled the context, you controlled the land, you controlled the infrastructure. And now, do you have to tell your citizens to buy black? Do they have to go out of their way to make sure that they're buying from a black company? When every fucking person, every business in your goddamn country is black. And if it ain't black, they're paying taxes to a black nation. So you don't have to tell them, stay on code. They're going to be on code because they got a fucking nation. And I'm sorry, and maybe you guys feel the same way as me. It feels like I'm saying the same goddamn thing over and over and over again, and people are pretending like they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's frustrating to me. It feels like I'm doing the same video 1,000 times. Like, how many more fucking points do you have to make to let us know that nationhood is the solution? Having some fucking land, building up the land, which creates jobs, and having your own goddamn nation. That's the solution. What the fuck? We still having a fucking conversation about this? Look at this. And even in this, even though I realize I got 4 dislikes on this video, and it's probably just one person, so I'm probably like blowing this up to be more than what it is. But even that, why is there any pushback on the fact that we need something of our own? But there's absolutely no pushback on stupid catchphrases like "stay on code." Stay on code. What the fuck does that mean? That means nothing if you don't want to control the context that our people live in. If you don't want a nation, what the fuck does it mean to stay on code? Let me go back and let me repeat this quote. For anybody who got a fucking brain in their head that can actually listen to this and get something out of it. You can't have any behavior in a system that isn't reinforced by the system. If it isn't structurally reinforced, it doesn't matter what your moral code is. People are going to deviate toward what actually works. Do you understand that? Do the people that's listening to that and hear me read that understand what the fuck that means? Because if you don't understand what that means, we can't even have a fucking conversation. And this is the problem. And like I said, most of the people in this chat room can totally relate to what I'm talking about. And that's the point that I wanted to make for the 20th thousand trillionth time. So let me look in the chat room and see. Do I have any party who still got some fucking questions? Let's see. Okay. Jeff Johnson. Jeff Johnson, you're still going to be subjected to white nationalist powers unless you have some powerful allies. And your point, like that's just a statement, it's not a question, so I don't know. What's the point? It seems like for the most part, people are understanding what I'm saying. That's because I keep intelligent people in the in my circle. So everybody in the chat room, I'm pretty sure understands what I'm talking about. I want Jeff to tell me what he means by subjected to. Is this white man is Thanos thing that are we really doing this? You can't do it because the white man is that what this is? Please tell me that's not what this is. I'm hoping that I get some explanation. Because God, it must be tiring to be a punk. And I'm not talking about you, Jeff. I'm just saying anybody who feels that they can't do something because of white people is a fucking coward and a punk. And I really don't want to hear anything you got to say. You shouldn't even be in the fucking conversation. You should be somewhere cowering in a corner or on a leash in some white person's house. You shouldn't be in no conversation about land infrastructure and nationhood or anything talking about black power. Go and be a bitch. I am Lucy. Our powerful allies is Africa. Thank you. Thank you. Saves me a whole lot of talking. Hey, what's up, militant? Do, 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 do. What happened to Jeff? Jeff, I know you don't mean the white man is everywhere. I'm not. I'm going to give you more credit than that. So there must be some nuance to the point that you are making. So I would like for you to type it out so I can address it. And I'm tired of just assuming people are on some bullshit. I want to make sure that they are before I say that. So I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, which is more than they give me, by the way. It's like what my cousin my cousin calls it the year but. There's always a year but. Okay. The point is your economics and politics is going to reinforce white imperialist global hegemony. How are you going to reinforce white imperialist global hegemony if you have your own nation? Explain that to me. And if here's a deeper question. If having your own if having your own nation, so to speak, is going to reinforce white imperialist global hegemony, then what is being without a nation inside of America going to do? Is this like what's that test in Star Trek that Kirk had to take where no matter what answer you do, you lose? So he had to change the question. Like, are we creating some no win? Oh, that's what it is, a no win scenario. So if you have a nation of your own, that's going to reinforce white imperialist global hegemony. And if you stay in America without a nation, living under the socio-economic and political context of white people, that's going to reinforce white imperialist global hegemony even more. So then that's a lose-lose scenario. Where's the win, Jeff? Where's the win? How do you win? I mean, it's only on 10-second delay. So, I mean, after 10 seconds, whatever you type, you can type it, type some more. It just doesn't let you just keep typing one after the other. But it's only on 10 seconds. I mean, I don't want to say what I'm thinking because I want to make sure that what I'm thinking is accurate about this whole conversation. But I will say that it's starting to smell to me as if you can't do nothing because of the white man. No matter what you try to do, the white man is going to prevent you from doing it. So then why even try doing it? Because I haven't seen all the people that talk about this white supremacy and imperialism and da. What is the solution? How do you defeat it? Or can it not be defeated? Because then that gets right back to the white man is Thanos. As long as he got the infinity jewels, he can't be defeated. That's what you're saying? How can you engage in a game that you're not trying to win? I never could understand. How do you play chess with you're playing chess to lose? Your whole like you have an opponent in front of you, and your whole mindset going into the game is I can't win. So what the fuck you playing for? Checkmate your own king. You don't have to wait for him to do it. Why are you even playing a game that you don't feel you can win? And what if, oh God forbid, you played the game and you actually lost? Oh shit, I lost. You know what usually happens? You clear the pieces off the board, you set it back up, and you play again. And you keep playing until you win. If you're in your neighborhood and a guy says, every time you come out of your house, I'm gonna fuck you up and you're gonna give me your money that you make on a weekly basis. You just gonna keep getting fucked up and giving this dude your money? Are you gonna bust that? You're gonna find a way to eliminate that problem. Are you gonna come up with a solution to that? Or are you just gonna accept the fact that this dude is gonna take your money every week? This defeated attitude. I mean, you know what? I can't really get too mad. I really can't get too mad because it seems to me as if we've been beat the fuck up for about 400 years, and we've internalized the beating. We've internalized. It's like a dog. When you know that a dog is used to getting hit. When you go to touch the dog and it pulls back because that means that dog somebody's been hitting that dog, and that's what it reminds me of with our people. You can tell the people that keep getting hit or that's used to getting hit, and they so fucking scared that every time you raise your hand, they feel like you're gonna get rain down thunder on them. And I guess that's what we do when we start talking about nationhood. They get scared. They get scared. What happened to Jeff? He just disappeared? I guess so. I haven't heard anything. Ronan Black says, sigh. Oh my God. Oh, Ronan. I know Ronan knows what I'm talking about because he's probably even more frustrated than I am. He says, you can't have hegemony if you create your own nation state. The nation state is created to get away from the ass backwards mental asylum hegemonic society we currently live in. Thank you. Oh God. But I'm telling you, man, it's like one of the things that I think that we sorely lack. We need to have, but like I said, I would suggest this, but we're not going to have it until we have our nation. Once we have our nation and once we control the context, a lot of the things that I keep saying we need to do this and we need to do that, we wouldn't even have to talk about because it would be ingrained into the very fabric of our society. Yeah, Jeff's gone. I don't know. He must have that. He must be on some Wi-Fi signal. I am Lucy. She's crazy. Born E L Allah says nationhood is therapy. I agree. I agree. But like I said, y'all, the main thing, the frustrating part is you got to have a context even to the conversations that you have with people. We have to have some agreed upon um, context if we're even going to have a discussion. And if people don't know that the context creates the behavior or controls the behavior, then what they're going to do is start talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and how they're so fucked up and da 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 da, totally void of context. Our culture produces Pookie and Ray Rays. Why does it do that? Why doesn't our culture in America produce in abundance mathematicians, scientists, tech, engineers? Why in abundance doesn't it do that? And is that just because we're genetically presupposed to support some particular type of industry or profession? Or because this is the context that we're living in? The context, the social, economic, and political, cultural context we live in produces these things. And we don't have any reinforcement within that system. We're fighting constantly against the grain of American culture. And this is the reason why we can produce a Michael Jackson, but we don't benefit from it. We can produce a Michael Jordan, but we don't benefit from it. We could produce all of the talent in the world, but we don't make money off of it. We just build it up so that they can take it and run with the globe. And the reason why they can do that is because we don't have a fucking nation of our own. Because if we had a nation of our own, then everything that we produce would benefit the nation. How many fucking times do we all have to say that before it seeps in and we don't have to keep dealing with this? Yeah, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. Shit is tiring, man. Complex Sin says institutions ain't there. Who's books for Moses? You're gonna fight the white man for a few states, I presume. Uh-oh, we got one. Books for Moses. I already beat up several white people. What's your point? I'm asking, what's your point? You beat up some white people, and what does that mean? That means that you're no longer living under the socio-economic and political domination of white people here in America because you beat up some white people. And I don't believe you. I don't believe you because black folks ain't just beating up white people in America. Where you typing this from? A penitentiary? Get this fucking yo. Why am I even looking at? Get this motherfucker out of this group, out of the discussion. Fuck that. Okay. Who is going to determine the value of your currency? Are you going to engage in free trades or be outlaws like North Korea, Cuba, Russia, Venezuela? Um, am I going to engage? What do you mean, am I? I'm talking about a nationhood for us. So that's my first question. You mean, what am I? It has nothing to do with me. And like I said, Jeff, these are all yeah, but questions. What is your point? You didn't answer my. That's another thing. Why am I answering your questions when you didn't answer mine? I asked you, how do you win? How? Everybody in this chat room can tell you how you can win, and they can do it in 3 words. I want you to tell me how you can win. No more questions. I'm not asking. I'm not answering no more questions, Jeff, until you answer mine. How do you win? All you're giving me is yeah, buts. Well, what are you going to do about this? Well, what you going to do about that? Well, if they do that, I'm not answering those fucking questions. Answer mine. How do you win against white supremacy? Until you answer that, I'm not answering these questions. I'll wait. Anybody else have any thing they want me to address? Because I think I've made my point for this particular live stream. Anything else on your mind? Any questions at all? Mr. Spacely, thank you. Candace Owens acting like a clown. What is that about? I really don't even know. Like this show you, I haven't been concentrating on this stuff, but I seen that she was at some type of hearing in, I guess it's Congress or the Senate or something. I have no idea what that's about. I keep my circle coon free. So whenever I see Candace Owens, I just totally block that out. It's like I've had blinders on. I don't like who gives a fuck what Candace Owens thinks or feels. Antoine, where are you at? Are you in Atlanta? Antoine Hurst? Delaware, okay. Cause I'll be in Atlanta the 25th of April, day after my birthday. My birthday's on the 24th. So we're going to see I'm going with my family to see Avengers Endgame, which is kind of a big deal for us because my cousin is, my 2 cousins are into comics, and Mac is into comics too. He's gonna be there with us, and to see the culmination of this whole MCU thing with them in particular is very special to me. And the fact that I'll be out in New York, I'll be with my lady and my family, and we're gonna be having a good time. I'm very excited about getting out of here and going there, man. Getting very excited. Mashir, what's up? You gonna hold down New York for me? I hope, because we haven't like the BAIO. It's sort of like a BAIO meet and greet. We're combining that with the movie thing. So we're gonna have one in New York going on at the same time we have one going on in Atlanta. The one in New York is gonna be at 8 p.m. and the one in Atlanta is gonna be at 7. So I'm looking forward to the New York crowd holding it down there, and we're gonna take pictures in Atlanta. Hopefully, you know, everybody has their BAIO t-shirts on. It's gonna be cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, y'all should do the same thing in your state. Like, if you can't go to Atlanta or to New York, there's nothing preventing y'all from having an Avengers Endgame event, BAIO event in your state. You can do that in Delaware. You can do it in California. You can do it in all of those other states, man. I hope that people do it because it's an event. Yep, on the 25th. Militant, are you in Atlanta? Who is in Atlanta in this chat room right now? Anybody from ATL? Oh, how far is that from? I keep in mind I know nothing about Atlanta except the fact that everybody that says they in Atlanta is not in Atlanta. It's just sort of like New York. Like, just because you live in New York don't mean you live in New York City. Most people live on the outskirts of the city. So where's Augusta in relationship to I'm gonna be in Duluth. I guess you would know that more than me. Oh damn, 2 hours away. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's like me going to PA. That's a long ride, man. That's a long ride away. Jeff Johnson says you can defeat white supremacy by amassing enough power to where you can reward your friends and punish your enemies, or at least have dire consequences for anyone that harms you. That sounds good, but how? You're not giving me specifics. That's very vague. You can defeat white supremacy by amassing enough power to where you can reward your friends and punish your enemies. What does that mean exactly within the context of nationhood? Can you amass enough power to where you can reward your friends and punish your enemies if you're living in your enemy's land? Or can you amass that if you have a land of your own? And it's taking, Jeff, are you busy or doing something? Because it's taking you a while to come up with these. So yeah, I need more. That's not enough. I need to know how you do that specifically. And it can be a general. It doesn't have to be like you don't have to tell me every little nut and bolt detail of it, but give me a general. Like, how do you do that generally? Because we're saying you need a nation to do it. So apparently, because I'm getting so many yeah buts from you, you don't agree with that. So then, how else do you do it minus a nation? No, it's like I know this. I deal with this all the time. Black Action Production. It's like everybody they think that it's a form of intellectualism. When no, it's a form of Negro stalling tactics. That's what it is. It's not intellectual to do this. It's not. I think it's much more intellectual to dig into the nuts and bolts of nationhood. We should be concentrating on, well, how do we do that? Or like, what ways can we implement this within the context of the land infrastructure nationhood conversation? But they just play devil's advocate to every fucking point. It's like a psychology psych major shit. It's like academic shit that doesn't translate to real life. And I've had those conversations with those type of people way too many times, so I know when I'm getting it. Every time you raise a point, they raise a counterpoint. But the problem is their counterpoint leads to nowhere. And because they don't have an understanding of what a point is. A point supposed to support your thesis. If you have no thesis, then you have no fucking points. You're just arguing points back and forth, leading to nowhere. See, I have a point. My point is land, infrastructure, nationhood. So when I'm no, not a point. I have a thesis. My thesis is land, infrastructure, nationhood. So when I make a point, it supports my major thesis. What I'm trying to get Jeff to tell me is, what is your thesis? Once I know what your thesis is, then I can look at your supporting points. But if you have no thesis, then you have no point. So it's no need for us to engage in a conversation. I hope that didn't go over anybody's head. But that's basically how conversation works. You don't just every time I say something, you say the opposite of it in the form of like to try to pretend that this is some form of intellectualism. That's not how conversations fucking work. Have a fucking thesis, a main thesis to what your argument is, and then support your argument with points. I hope I'm not coming across too hostile in this live stream. I really hope I'm not. But it's frustrating, man. Like I hope me and Ronan was talking about this, man. It's very frustrating having these conversations because it's almost as if people are pretending like they don't know what you're talking about simply because they just want to have an intellectual discourse. I don't give a fuck about being deep. I only care that you listen to what I'm saying. It's not about being deep. I don't give a fuck about that. Do you hear what I'm saying? Are you listening to it? Are you trying to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Mr. Spacely says Jeff thesis equals tear down the ideas of others because I love to argue for no reason. He's not alone, though. He's not alone. I feel like the majority of these woke people engage in that thinking process. And the reason why they get so mad and frustrated with us is because we do have a main thesis. And we back up our main thesis with supporting points all the time. And it's hard for somebody to argue with you. So what do? They engage in Negro stalling taxes as a counter. And all it really does, it doesn't really defeat our argument or our main thesis. It just pisses us off because we get frustrated with it. But I got about 7 minutes. I started at 6. I'm gonna probably end this at 7. Does anybody have anything else they want me to talk about or anything they um, feel is out here that needs to be addressed? Born the law says you're doing great. You have to repeat sometimes for the hard heads or non-thinkers. Then maybe one bang, bum, bam, I got it. Yeah, Vic, I really get the sense that's their thesis. The white man is Thanos. That's the thesis. The white man is Thanos. The white man is unbeatable. The white man cannot be beaten. If that's your thesis, then you really don't need supporting points. What you should do is be the white man's bitch. Do what he says, serve him properly, and try to be the best slave that you possibly can be. Don't try to be equal to him because you're not equal. You already know you're not. You already know that. You've already admitted that he's better than you. So then what you should try to do is make sure that you make his life as easy as possible and not bring him so much grief and frustration with your blackness. Yes, serve him properly so he can smite you properly. And if that's what you really think, why are we listening to you? Why are we listening to you? Why are we listening to somebody's bitch? No, you didn't. Wait. He says, Jeff Johnson says, hold up, you turned the tables on me. I came up with an argument against your position that you cannot have a nation within a nation. When did I ever say you can have a whoa? What? Let me reread this and hope. Let me see if I'm reading this right. Hold up, you turn the tables on me. I came with an argument against your position that you cannot have a nation within a nation. Do you know what an argument is? Do you know what a position is? And I know I might sound like I'm being mad condescending, but you have to put the definition of an argument and a position in this chat room in order for this conversation to go on. Like Black Atcha says, Jeff, you know we can scroll up and see your words, right? You're reading my mind. What is my position? So you're arguing for a nation within a nation? Is that what you're arguing? You're saying that we can have a nation within a nation? Does Israel have a nation within a nation? Does China have a nation within a nation? Does Russia have a nation within a nation? Why would you want to have a nation within a nation and not have your own nation, Jeff? What is the reason for you not wanting your own? So you would rather have a nation within a nation than have an actual nation of your own. That's your position? Ronan Black says, you know what, Holip? If you had a white person as a spokesperson for the BAIO talking about LIN, all these confused, woke, smart ass, mic dropping Negroes would be saying, oh, hell yeah, LIN, perfect sense. I don't want to dismiss Jeff. I want to just obliterate Jeff's arguments. But see, the problem is Jeff is not coming at me with anything cohesive. He's coming at me with a bunch of mishmash here. I'm like, you're all over the place. And I'm asking simple questions. Do you believe that it's more feasible to have a nation within a nation or to have your own nation? Which one seems to be the most logical thing to do? Now, we can argue about how hard it is to do it or the time it might take to do it. But what I'm asking is, what's the logical thing to do? What's the thing that makes the most sense? And logistically, having a nation within a nation in America makes absolutely no sense. And you have yet to come up with any argument that proves your point. He's dialing back in. Yeah, Jeff is on apparently AOL. I didn't realize that this was, terribly complicated stuff that we're dealing with here. Jeff, it's 7 o'clock. I'm getting ready to end this live stream, so make it count. Make this next thing that you type count. I'm gonna wait for Jeff to type something. I'm gonna address it, and then I'm gonna kirk out. And I really wish that Jeff would put in the definition of an argument and the definition of a position. Ah, la 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 la. I know it's not the 10-second delay because I see everybody else is typing. Mr. Cat says at Jeff, who would be the ultimate authority if we built a nation within the borders of the USA? Okay, Jeff says, I'm not against Afghanistan. I think that having our own nation state is the ultimate goal to achieve. So then so then why the year buts if we agree on that? I'm just confused by that. If we agree on that, then why are we even having this conversation? We're on the same page if our main thesis is the same. Mr. Spacely says, how can we have our own nation somewhere else without starting here first, organizing before departure? That's the purpose of the BAIO Ning site, Mr. Spacely. Now that I agree with. You have to have some form of organization before you depart, definitely. And that form of organization is the BAIO. So my question to everybody is, are you in the BAIO? Are you in your local chapter? And have you tried to have a meet and greet with the people in your state? Kala, you're having a conference call tomorrow night. Why? We're gonna have to talk off it. I've been trying to have a conference call with you and the people involved, and you told me you couldn't do it. Now you're having a conference call tomorrow night. So why not just reply on the email and tell me that that's the night you're available? You're available Thursday night. Why didn't you just say that? Because I canceled for the whole week. You said, well, no, I can't make it. I'm away. And now you're having a conference call on Thursday. That was one of the options. It was either Tuesday or Thursday. I don't want to have we don't I don't have to have this discussion here. Hit me on the email. So if you're having it Thursday night, then I can let people know that Thursday night is an option, and then we can have the conference call on Thursday night. But I was under the impression that you weren't going to be in town. That's what you told me. But that's another story. All right, Jeff. Yeah, since you told me that you believe in having a nation state, I'm going to tune out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, this was like just spur of the moment. It was just something that I wanted to talk about. And thank you to the 7 people that thumbed down the video, or the one person who thumbed down the video under 7 different accounts. I appreciate that. And I will holler at you good people later, all right? Thank you for tuning in. Peace. Love you all.